The cat that comes home. David pressed his palms against his temples as the emails multiplied like bacteria in his inbox. 3 meetings today, 2 project deadlines tomorrow, his mother calling about dad's medical bills, the mortgage payment due, his daughter's school fees, the car making that grinding noise again. Each problem spawned 3 more, and each solution created new complications. His life had become a Jenga tower, and he was terrified that pulling out even one piece would bring everything crashing down. He pushed back from his desk and grabbed his jacket. Fresh air. That's all he needed. Just 15 minutes of not being responsible for every damn thing falling apart around him. The neighborhood streets were quiet in the late afternoon. David walked without direction, his mind still churning through tomorrow's to-do list, when he noticed an older woman sitting on a park bench, watching something with unusual focus. "Excuse me," David found himself saying, "what are you looking at?" She smiled and pointed to a sleek gray cat stalking through the garden bed. "Just watching Morris there. He's fascinating." David looked at the cat, then back at the woman. "It's just a cat," he said, already regretting stopping. "Oh, but he's not," she said, patting the bench beside her. "Sit for a minute. You look like you could use it." Against his better judgment, David sat. He had things to do, calls to return, fires to put out. But something about her calm demeanor made him pause. "Morris lives with the Hendersons in that blue house," she continued. "But he doesn't need them. Watch." The cat pounced, catching something small in the grass. It was clearly a skilled hunter, sleek and confident in its movements. "He could survive just fine on his own," the woman said. "Probably better than most pets. He hunts, he knows every hiding spot in the neighborhood, he can defend himself. Completely self-sufficient." David nodded impatiently. "Look, I don't have time for this." "Nonsense. Now, watch what he does next." They sat in silence. The cat finished with whatever he'd caught, cleaned his paws meticulously, then began walking toward the blue house. But he didn't head to any food bowls visible in the yard. Instead, he jumped onto the porch and meowed softly at the screen door. A man emerged, Mr. Henderson, apparently, and the cat immediately began weaving between his legs, purring loudly. Henderson chuckled and sat on the porch steps. Morris leapt onto his lap, pressing his head against Henderson's hand, eyes closed in pure contentment. "See that?" the woman said softly. "He doesn't come home because he has to. He comes home because he wants to." David watched the cat, a tightness forming in his chest. "I still don't see." Morris has figured out what most of us haven't. True independence isn't about not needing anyone. It's about being whole enough on your own that you can choose your connections from a place of joy, not desperation. The cat stretched, yawned, and settled more deeply into Henderson's lap, both of them basking in the afternoon sun. David thought of all those nights he'd stayed late at the office, afraid to ask for help because it meant admitting weakness. And then the guilt when he finally came home too tired to really be there for his family. Always torn between proving he didn't need anyone and feeling resentful that no one helped. David rubbed his face, letting out a slow breath. "I've been so buried in trying to stay afloat, deadlines, bills, calls, expectations, I can barely breathe most days. I thought if I just kept pushing, held it all together, things would ease up eventually. But it never stops. And I'm so tired of pretending I'm fine." "It sounds to me like you've been running yourself ragged trying to handle everything alone because you're afraid of being dependent on anyone," said the wise woman. "But you've also been afraid to take time for yourself because you think that means abandoning everyone who needs you. You're stuck in this exhausting middle ground where you're neither truly independent nor genuinely connected." David stared at the cat, who had now rolled onto his back, completely relaxed and trusting. "So what's the solution?" "Learn from Morris. Build your own capability first. Not so you can shut people out, but so you can let them in from a place of choice rather than need. The cat comes home for love, not survival. That makes all the difference." They sat quietly as Morris eventually hopped down and began his evening patrol of the garden, moving with that same confident independence. But David noticed something else now, the way Morris would pause and look back at the porch, maintaining connection even in solitude. "I think," David said slowly, "I've been approaching this all wrong." The woman smiled. "Most of us do. We think strength means never needing help, so we burn out. Or we think connection means constant availability, so we lose ourselves. Morris found the sweet spot." David felt something loosen in his shoulders for the first time in months. He wouldn't solve everything tonight, but maybe he didn't have to. Maybe the answer wasn't better time management or more effort. Maybe it was learning when to hunt alone and when to come home for affection. As he walked back toward his house, the tension within eased, not gone, but quieter. The same problems were waiting for him, but somehow they felt less impossible. Maybe the answer wasn't working harder or asking for less. Maybe it was finding his own rhythm, like Morris with his confident solitude and chosen returns home. Tomorrow he'd try something different. Set some boundaries, take that lunch break he'd been skipping. Not to shut people out, but to come back stronger. To choose his connections instead of stumbling into them exhausted. The cat that comes home, not because it has to, but because it wants to. Walking through his front door, David finally understood the difference.